What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Corey from the Hardwood Herald, and I am back with another mock drafting the lottery version 2 presented by mybookie.ag. Today, we are going to go through the NBA lottery once again. The order is a little bit different this time because the NBA season's over and the tiebreakers have happened. So we have a set order. Next up is going to be the actual results of the lottery. But for now, we are going to go through, see what prospects may have moved up, what prospects may have moved down. These are not necessarily who I think these teams should pick. It's who I think these teams might pick based on roster construction. It's not a big board. We are just mock drafting the lottery based on a number of things. Fit, potential, how a roster might look going forward. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Mock draft version 2. Let's go. First up on the clock, we have the Houston Rockets. This is a no-brainer. I wouldn't trust anybody who says otherwise. They're just doing it, I think, for clicks. This is an easy one. Oklahoma State's Cade Cunningham. Look, he is the pick no matter who wins the lottery. 6'8", primary initiator, got a little bit of Jason Tatum, got a little bit of Luka Doncic. He's like they had a love child. He's a scorer, an initiator. He can defend. He can do it all. We don't have to overthink this, guys. Cade is the real deal. So Cade Cunningham goes number 1 to the Houston Rockets. At number 2, we have the Detroit Pistons. Now look, I know general consensus is probably telling you that they should select the big man at a USC. And they might. However, I think that the Detroit Pistons need a star. Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, he had a really solid rookie year. That's not any reason to necessarily pass up on talent, especially this early in the draft. However, I think that Jalen Green is being underrated. Jalen Green is a monster, ladies and gentlemen. He's a monster. This kid is a walking bucket, and I think that the Detroit Pistons, the way that their roster is constructed, they need a star, right? Killian Hayes, he's still talented. Don't give up on him. But he doesn't have that alpha mentality. Sadiq Bey, another great get in the draft. He doesn't have the star qualities, that self-creation ability. He is a consummate role player. They are going to draft Jalen Green because he is going to lead their franchise. He sells tickets. He gets buckets. He has as much potential as anybody else in this draft. He is a Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal kind of scorer. He is one of the more athletic prospects you'll ever see in any draft. Jalen Green is going to be the pick at number 2 to the Detroit Pistons. Now, picking on the clock, number 3, the Orlando Magic. We just saw the Detroit Pistons pass on Evan Mobley. He's not going to drop any further. I think that there is a top 4, but there's also a top 3 in this draft that's pretty set. And I think Evan Mobley is the guy here for the Orlando Magic. Now, I know what you're saying. They just traded Nikola Vucevic for Wendell Carter Jr. But I think that trade was more about a long-term future, maximizing value, trading Vucevic, and getting those potential lottery picks from Chicago. So even though they have Wendell Carter, even though they have Mo Bamba, I think you go with Evan Mobley, who is one of the better big man prospects that we've seen come through the draft. Now, I know there's a lot of Anthony Davis comps. They call him a unicorn. I don't see the Anthony Davis stuff, and that's why he's not going number 1 or number 2 in this draft. But what I do see is a big man who is going to be a excellent defender, all NBA defense kind of stuff. He can switch on the perimeter. He can protect the rim. He is going to be a guy on offense who you can kind of run offense through because he's a terrific passer. Think kind of Bam Adebayo. He's not as strong as Bam, but he does a lot of the same stuff as a passer. He's going to be a roll man. He has the potential to pop for 3. I don't think he has that self-creation ability, but he does have the ability to score in a variety of ways. He's got a quick first step. You could put him in the mid-post, let him kind of draw free throws. I really love Evan Mobley as a prospect, and you pair him in the front court with Jonathan Isaac, and you have potentially a really locked down front court. He's kind of what the Magic wanted Mo Bamba to be. So, look, you figure the Bamba, the Wendell Carter stuff out later. You go get your prospect. They have another pick in this draft to fill out the roster. Evan Mobley to the Orlando Magic at pick 3. On the clock now, pick 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder. We have the Poku experience down in Oklahoma City. We have SGA, one of my favorite young players who had a phenomenal season His off-the-bounce creation ability is unreal. They got Lou Dort. They have 7 bajillion picks in the future. What they're going to do in this top 5 with the pick number 4, they're going to take Jalen Suggs. I don't think there's a whole lot of thinking. Sure, you could think about taking Jonathan Kamenga here. Of course you can. He's a high-potential player, and we'll talk about him very soon. But they're going to take Jalen Suggs and pair him in the backcourt with SGA. And that is like, you have 2 winners on your squad. 2 guys that could lead your team. 2 guys that can play with the ball in their hands. Guys who could play off ball. Guys who are going to push the pace. You have the makings of just such a solid foundation, irregardless of the rest of their picks. That backcourt is one of the best backcourts going forward in the future. Oklahoma City fans would absolutely love Jalen Suggs. I would love to see all the hit-ahead passes and just all the... I mean, he's a fun guy. Consummate winner. Love it. Oklahoma City takes Jalen Suggs. At pick number 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers are on the clock. The Cavs have a weird roster construction, but I think they have a lot of potential. Isaac Okoro, they took last year. He came on late in the year. He struggled early on. Still struggles with a shot, but you could see the skeleton of this like elite level role player. Darius Garland took a jump. One of my favorite draft prospects in his class. Colin Sexton took another jump. Now, maybe you're going to have to break up that backcourt eventually, but for now, they've really, excelled in their progress. So they traded for Jared Allen. So they got themselves a rim protector. Now, you could take your shot on a high potential kind of swing forward, could play the 4, and I think you'd slot him starting there. Jonathan Kamenga to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He played against men in the G League bubble. He struggled a little bit more than Jalen Green did, but he still showed all the flashes that you want to see out of his kind of archetype. 6'8", 7-foot wingspan, going to be able to protect the rim a little bit in switches. He's going to be able to guard the perimeter. He's going to be able to potentially be a monster in transition, and especially running with some of those point guards. He's going to be able to play multiple spots on offense. You could use him as a screener. You could use him as a popper. You can use him as a guy who you give the ball to and tell him to create. So I think that the potential for Kamenga and his body type, and he's kind of that Jaylen Brown, Patrick Williams type of forward, and he's got that type of potential. So if he develops well in Cleveland, I mean, the Cavs got themselves a squad right there. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're going to take Jonathan Kamenga with pick number 5. At pick 6, this is where we get really interesting. The Minnesota Timberwolves won a bunch of games. Now, they only keep their pick if it's top 3. So, at pick 6, that pick will convey to the Golden State Warriors. Now, look, I'm not going to make any hypothetical trades for the Warriors here. I'm sure with 2 potential lottery picks that they are going to look to trade at least one of them. Maybe both, for somebody who can contribute more now. But with that said, if they keep them, and I'm going to go with the assumption that they're going to keep this pick, they're going to take Davion Mitchell, NCAA champion Davion Mitchell, in my opinion, the best perimeter defender in this draft. He's ready to step in right away. People will say, you're going to take a 22-year-old kid at the 6th pick? I think he's got that kind of potential, even though he's 22. All right, because the skills that he has are all transferable to the NBA level. Elite speed. Quickest first step in the draft. Maybe you could argue Jalen Green, but one of the quickest first steps in the draft. This kid is a physical monster. I mean, he's built like a brick shithouse. He has the off-the-bounce game of a guy like Kemba Walker. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I don't buy his shot. He didn't shoot it that well in the previous years. Yeah, he got better. And if you look at his shot functionally and at the volume that he shot it at Baylor this year, I look at it and I say, yeah, that's going to translate at the next level. Now, he doesn't get to the free throw line a ton, and he doesn't shoot it well from the free throw line. But as a passer, he improved a ton. He made some really high-level reads this year. And again, his defense, go and watch my video of him defending Cade Cunningham. He might be a little bit shorter than you would prefer, but he went and guarded Cade Cunningham as well as anybody could possibly expect, and Cade is an NBA-level elite scorer. Okay, so the way that he defended him, his intelligence on that end, the way that he plays in help, off ball, on ball. His nickname is Off Night for a reason. The kid is the real deal defensively, and his offensive game, he has a ton of potential. You can't always sleep on prospects just because they might be a little bit older. They're still young. The kid's 22. He's still got room to grow. So the Golden State Warriors, especially that kind of veteran team, he fits in with the Warriors based on his mentality and the fact that he could step in and contribute a little bit quicker than some of these high potential picks. So again, the Warriors might trade this, but I am not going to be under the assumption that they're going to and guess. We're going to just go ahead and take the best player available for them, and I think they'll take Davion Mitchell. On the clock, the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Raptors have a few different directions that they can go with this pick. They can take a kind of high potential guy, like I think they're going to take here, or they could take another one of their kind of 3, 4, 5 hybrids who they've done a phenomenal job developing. So I'm going to take James Bouknight for the Raptors here. Bouknight from UConn, the kid scores. He's a bucket. But what I like about Bouknight is that he's not necessarily a guy that you have to play on ball. He can create his own shot almost as well as anybody in this draft. 20-point per game scorer potential in the NBA. But he's a guy that you could also play off ball. So you could put him next to Fred VanVleet. Okay, you could put him next to Malachi Flynn. You could put him next to Pascal Siakam. He can thrive cutting, getting out in transition, spotting up. So I really like him there. And if he needs to, he can carry an offense for a little bit. I think they're going to lose Kyle Lowry in free agency this year. So he's a guy that I think could step in and play minutes right away. They're a little bit weak at the shooting guard spot. And Bouknight, I think, is a guy that you're going to see climb boards and potentially be a top 10 guy in the NBA draft as we get closer to it. So Bouknight, the kid could score. And I think that Toronto has a chance to kind of, take a chance on a kid like him and it could really pay off. So with pick number 7, the Toronto Raptors are going to take James Bouknight. With baseball in full swing and the NBA playoffs off to a hot start, you can make each and every series matter by having a stake in the game with mybookie.ag. Regardless of whether you're betting favorites or underdogs, player prop bets, or just looking to make some cash, MyBookie gives you tons of options to make all your favorite matches a hell of a lot more exciting. And if you're looking to bet for the first time but don't know what to bet on, I'm here to help point you in the right direction. I love the Dallas Mavericks getting 2.5 points at home in Game 4. Luka is averaging 38 points per game in the series. The Clippers have absolutely no answers for him. And the Mavs get an opportunity to go up 3-1 in their own building. And I love getting the points here. You can even look long-term and bet on NBA championship favorites. The plus 600 Milwaukee Bucks. They're looking kind of tasty right now. So if you want to bet with me, go to mybookie.ag, sign up now, and use the promo code Hardwood to get your first deposit matched halfway up to $1,000. Let them know that I sent you, so use our promo code HARDWOOD to get that free deposit bonus and start your day off with a win. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. On the clock at number 8, the Orlando Magic via the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls picked up Nick Vucevic, and they gave up a potential lottery pick. And that pick will be going to Orlando as long as it is not in the top 4 come lottery night. So if the Bulls don't move up, the Orlando Magic get their pick. And with the 8th pick, after taking Evan Mobley out of USC, the Orlando Magic are going to take somebody who's a little bit more of a role player, but potentially elite at what they do. They're going to take Corey Kisper out of Gonzaga. Kisper, 6'7", 215, kind of modern day wing. You could see a little bit Joe Harris in him, right? He is an elite 3-point shooter, one of the best in this class. He's not going to do a whole lot of creating off on the ball, but off ball, you're going to have to chase him around. He's going to run off screens. He's going to be able to be an elite spot up option. He fits perfectly next to Mobley, who's going to be able to find him off these actions. And you could put him in some DHO situations as you would a JJ Redick, as you would a Duncan Robinson, that kind of player with Mobley. And Kispert's a good enough passer that he'll be able to hit the roll man in those situations. He's not a guy that you're going to, again, give the ball to and say, go cook. That's not his game. He's a guy that's going to thrive off ball, and it might seem a little bit high to take a guy like that, but at this part of the draft, this part of the lottery, you could take a chance on a guy who shot it as well as Kisper has over his entire career. He's an elite shooter, and the Magic, kind of need that. Cole Anthony, R.J. Hampton, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, these are not guys who are elite shooters, right? They're maybe shot makers, but not elite shooters. Corey Kispert's an elite shooter. He's going to be able to space the floor for these guards who want to penetrate. Love the drive and kick ability for Kispert there, where I love how he fits playing off of guys who can drive and kick, rather. So Corey Kispert to the Orlando Magic with the 8th pick. On the clock now, number 9, Scotty mother effing Barnes. I love this kid's game. He is a conundrum. He's one of the biggest question marks in the draft for me, because what position is he? He's a big guard, but really he's more of like a forward, just based positionally on size. I can't see any team kind of just giving him the ball and say, go create, be our point guard. And that's how he played at Florida State. Now, he is used to playing off ball as well. When he was at Montverde, he played off Cade Cunningham. But really, his game is passing. I think that you could make an argument that he is one of the 3 best passers in this entire draft. The problem is that a guy like Sharife Cooper, a guy like Cade Cunningham, they can create their space. Their handle can get them, in Sharif's case, his handle and his speed can get him to spots where he can use that passing ability. In Cade's, Cade can use his strength and his size to get to certain spots to make these passes. Scotty Barnes doesn't have that kind of handle. He's got a good handle, especially for his size, but it's not guard level handle. And his shot, his shooting, it's probably his biggest weakness right now. If he was a better shooter, his handle would be more than adequate to be able to create for others. But at the NBA level, teams are going to go under on him. But he is an elite level passer. And on the Sacramento Kings, you already have De'Aaron Fox. You have Tyrese Halliburton. So he doesn't need to play that primary role. He's a guy that could be a connector just like Halliburton. He plays the game the right way. And as a defender, this is a guy, 6'9", he was guarding point guards up and down the floor, like full court. He's switchable. He's going to be able to guard multiple positions. He's not going to be physically overwhelmed. He's super strong. He moves really well laterally. He's super long, and he gets long. He's got ridiculously quick hands. So I love Scotty Barnes to the Sacramento Kings here, and I think he's going to just be a connecting piece and continue on Sacramento's build to hopefully get back to the playoffs one day. At number 10 on the clock, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to select Moses Moody. He's a guy who I didn't have in my last draft, but I kind of like him here for New Orleans. I think that New Orleans is in a spot where they're trying to figure out how to build around Zion, and I think you need guys who complement him. They didn't necessarily do the best job of picking those guys this year. Steven Adams doesn't really fit next to Zion. They kind of needed a guy who could space the floor there. I like that they drafted Kyra Lewis last year. They might lose Lonzo in free agency, so Kyra Lewis can kind of step in to that spot. They need guys who are going to be able to space the floor for Zion and defend. Don't need the ball in their hands, and that's what Moses Moody is. He's going to be able to step in, off ball, catch and shoot, come out, get out in transition, run with those guys, defend, guard the 2s and 3s. He's not going to get in the way of Brandon Ingram's ball handling. He's not going to clash with the 2 most important players on their team. So I think Moses Moody is a really solid get for the New Orleans Pelicans because he's the kind of guy that you need to put around their stars. Next up on the clock, the Charlotte Hornets. I was really struggling to make a decision for the Hornets because they kind of need a wing behind Gordon Hayward. He's always hurt, and they don't have a lot of depth there, but they also don't have much depth at the center position. And I think LaMelo Ball is perfect for who they're going to select here. They're going to take Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky. Isaiah Jackson is a pogo stick. The kid, he jumps out of the gym. He's super athletic. He has all the flashes of the modern day center position that, that rim roller, switchable big. And you put him next to LaMelo and you tell him to run the floor and just catch alley-oops off pick and roll and those long hit aheads that LaMelo throws, and he could play off the same way with Devontae Graham. He fits so well next to LaMelo Ball. He's going to be able to play at a pick and roll as a rim roller with him. He's going to be able to, probably get 100 alley-oops off of those hit-aheads that LaMelo throws. He could play the same kind of way with Devontae Graham, Gordon Hayward. He finally gives them kind of a consistent option at center. Now, he's a little bit raw. It might take a little bit, but that's where guys like Gordon Hayward and LaMelo help. I think he'll speed that up, and you saw how much a guy like Miles Bridges, a guy like Malik Monk, these kind of guys who thrive with the right creator, and that's what LaMelo is going to do for Isaiah Jackson. And look, they need a guy who can clean stuff up, and he was a monster shot blocker at Kentucky. So I really love Isaiah Jackson's fit with Charlotte. They definitely need some depth behind Gordon Hayward, but I think that center position is a little bit more pressing of a need for them, especially long term, and I think that Isaiah Jackson's the perfect kind of player to put next to LaMelo Ball there. All right, on the clock, at number 12, the San Antonio Spurs. Look, the Spurs really need to kind of tear it down and go full rebuild. I think they're going to lose DeRozan. They need to just tear it down, go young. But we know that the San Antonio Spurs are not shy in taking foreign players, and I think that the value that they get for Alperen Sengun out of Beşiktaş, Turkey, is going to be one of the more underrated picks in this mock lottery. Sengun is this 6'10", 18-year-old kid who is dominating overseas, and you cannot overlook the production there. You can argue that this is a top 10 kid. I think I had him going 8th or 9th in the last mock draft. So San Antonio getting him at 12 is major value. This kid his footwork is impeccable in the post. He has showed real playmaking flashes. He's done a better job kind of attacking out on the perimeter. I mean, the kid kind of, he's got a little bit of Nurkic to his game. And I think if you can get that at this part of the lottery, it's a home run. Now, there's going to be questions. Can he guard on the perimeter, right? Does he have that kind of foot speed? And I think that ultimately he's going to be able to adequately enough play that position on the defensive end that his offense kind of gives you everything you need that makes it worth it, that you'd be sacrificing it, right? We've seen guys, Nurkic, Sabonis, we've seen these guys thrive. And I think that Sengun has that same kind of potential. So I think it's a home run for San Antonio. It's kind of at a position in need. They don't really have any long-term, real players in the front court. So Sengun would be, home run pick for them. Next up on the clock, the Indiana Pacers. They're going to take Josh Giddey from down under. Adelaide, 36ers. Giddey is a really fun prospect. And, I think that the Pacers might lose TJ McConnell, so he could step right in at backup point guard, playing behind Brogdon. What I like about Giddey is that he's versatile. He's 6'8", so you can give him the ball and tell him to play point guard, but he can also kind of play off ball. His shot improved as the year went on, and he gained more confidence, and I think that early on in his career, if he can be more of a spot-up shooter than an off-the-bounce shooter, that's going to help him and his percentages and his efficiency. But the kid is a real playmaker. He's one of the best playmakers in this entire draft, and I think that even though Indiana kind of has pieces all over the floor, I think at this spot of the lottery, he's a real value get, and he can fit in any lineup that Indiana puts out on the floor. So if he does learn to shoot it at a high level in the NBA, I mean, the kid could be a star due to his size. Defensively, not going to be the best, but you got Miles Turner backing him up, and I just love how he fits with all of their pieces. So Josh Giddey from Adelaide, Australia. Great pick for the Pacers at 13. And rounding out the end of the lottery, the Golden State Warriors back on the clock, this time with their own pick. They lost in the play-in game, so they're back in the lottery. And again, they might trade this pick, but that's hypothetical, and we'll probably find that out on draft night. So for now, I think that the Warriors are going to take another player. This time he's a little younger, but he's got a ton of experience. They're going to take Franz Wagner out of Michigan. Now, Franz, you can go and listen to the NBA Draft DAC podcast, my NBA Draft podcast. We just broke his game down last week, and Franz is a kid who is going to be able to step in and play minutes for this veteran team. He is kind of a 4 who can play the 3, but really, really underrated defender. I think he's one of the best defenders in the class. He's more Kirk Heinrich than, a guy who's going to go out in the passing lanes and have these flashy steal and block numbers. He's much more prone to not take chances. He's a guy who's going to be in the right spots, active hands. He'll get a lot of deflections. And offensively, I think that, he's a connector. He's not going to put up big-time scoring numbers, but he's going to knock down catch-and-shoot shots. He's going to be able to attack closeouts in a straight-line drive. He's going to be able to make, a simple read. He can make a play out of pick and roll. He's not going to, do the Luka thing where he puts you in jail and snakes it and then hits the weak side. He's not going to do anything like that. Nothing super high level, but he's going to be able to just make basic pocket passes, lobs. And he's a guy who doesn't need the ball in his hands. And Steph, is going to have the ball in his hands a ton. You're going to have Clay. Based on this draft, you'd have Davion. So he's a guy who's just going to be able to play off ball. He's going to be able to play a couple of different positions. And I think he'd be a guy who could step in and actually contribute as a rookie for the Warriors, who are looking to get back into title contention, everyone. That's going to do it for Mock Draft version 2. We'll be back with another one after the draft lottery. Let me know in the comments what you think. Tell me who you like. What team should have picked who? Argue, debate me. Tell me which prospect you think I missed out on. Because look, again, this is not my big board, and I got a lot of guys that I would take ahead of some of these guys. But I think this is, kind of how it's going to play out. I think these are guys that are going to be in contention for these teams. So let me know again in the comments. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. That would be huge. And make sure you listen to the Draft Act NBA Draft Podcast. Rate it, subscribe it, leave a comment. Thank you all for tuning in and watching all of the videos. Make sure you check out Film Sesh on the channel for in-depth player breakdowns. And until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.